Something taking off, man. As much. Yeah, wait, don't be that. Chair. Perfect. Okay. That thing right now, brother. Good evening, everyone. Great, wonderful. We welcome you to the special CRA meeting, July 2nd, 2024. Secretary, I'm sorry, Town Clerk, Town Clerk, Mrs. King.
Yes, Director Gardner.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Director Washington. Director Daniels.
Hello.
Director Mack.
Here.
Vice Chair Williams.
First.
Chair Randolph.
I'm here.
And for the record, Director Critton is not here. CRA Executive Director is not here. And our attorney is not here.
So we'll wait for a few moments to see if the attorney is coming. He hasn't given notice to me or that he was not coming. He may be running a little late.
So the meeting has been called to order. So
It's been called to order. So we'll be on pause for until such time that I feel that we need to make a decision on where we're going to go.
Identification pledge. Can't get present. The pledge. Can you do it?
What was that?
Can you do the identification pledge?
Yeah, we can. You want to
Get out of the way.
You want to get that right here? Okay. Dave. How are you? I'm well. There you go. Okay, well, it has been suggested, if it's okay, that we move forward with the pledge of allegiance and the, is that correct?
So we're reconvening at 5:32.
Yes. We reconvene and we'll wait for the. Let's have a moment of silent meditation, please, for a few seconds. Okay, thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Until such time, we are paused until we give ample time for the attorney. You're welcome. Yes.
They got brought up.
All right, one meeting is called back to order. The attorney has arrived and I accept your apology. Yes, of course. Okay, we can conclude with our meeting. With the citizens' participation.
We have none.
Attorney, if you need a few moments, just to get something. You okay? All right, thank you. All right, since there's no citizen participation. Can we have acceptance of the special meeting, please? We have that. Do we have to accept the agenda?
No, there's just one item on the
Okay.
agenda.
All right, so we'll just move to the next item. A board's decision. You have in front of you, gonna ask the town clerk to read the preamble for CRA R 2024-27.
Resolution CRA-R 2024-27, a resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA Board of Directors authorizing the TOCRA chairperson to appoint an interim executive director to serve for a period of up to 90 days or until such time that a permanent executive director is appointed by the TOCRA board.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. King, you have heard the preamble for resolution 2024-27. Is there a motion for this item? It has been moved. It has been moved by Director Clinton and seconded by Director Daniels.
Questions?
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, who will, like, are you appointing someone or the board appointing someone?
In this particular case, because it's an interim, the director has the discretion to appoint someone for 90 days. Yeah, we have 90 days.
You said that, Shannon?
Who?
You said the director.
Oh, the executive director. Yes. You say, you know,
You said she has?
no, me, I'm sorry. The
Oh,
chair.
no,
I'm sorry,
okay,
the
cause you
chair.
told me all the way off.
I probably misunderstood the question.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm like.
yeah, I'm sorry. Make that correct, the chair. That will be an appointment for 90 days until we hire an official
So who, like,
executive director.
who is it gonna be?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
So we're not making that decision tonight?
I think it just, me personally, I think it needs to be a total board decision.
Right.
However we see fit on whoever, you know, the person is and what we decide to do, how to do or whatever. I think you see it, we need to be the board, because at the end of the day, that person got to answer to the board.
Right.
I think my understanding that the chairperson just works along with that individual.
Right.
You know, for our process agenda, whatever the case may be, but in the day, they answer to the board. So
Yeah.
I think we need to be in this together as far as whoever we decide to choose, fulfill that role for the next 90 days or however long.
Yeah, instead of individual.
Director Clinton?
And y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I know when we were in this situation about a year or so ago, Chair Gardner at the time was able to appoint an interim director. Did we? No?
I
Okay,
did it as mayor.
okay. I just want to make sure I didn't mix the two. Now, in the absence of an executive director, the chair does take on those administrative duties, however, right? So even if we don't give the authority tonight for the chair to select an executive interim director, she would still be maintaining those administrative duties at least, correct?
The chair.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
just wanted to
what
make
the
sure.
bylaws, but I don't
Right.
think that'd be in our best interest either, if you ask me personally. I think we definitely need to get someone on board to fill that void, to take pressure off her, because you gotta remember, she's a councilwoman. I think it was the same situation that we was having with the young lady here, that's why she's not present, because it's a lot to tackle, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't want to speak for,
90 days it doesn't seem like a long time, but that's a long time.
I don't intend to speak for Chair Randolph in any aspect. I mean, if I don't personally have an issue with the chair selecting an interim for up to 90 days. I know how aggressive you've been in the past about making sure that position has been filled. So I trust that that track record will hold as it has in the past. But that's just my 2 cents.
But at the end of the day, she's still gonna need this board to vet whoever it is that we're gonna bring regardless. So to put it in a nutshell, to avoid from her doing it for the next 30 days, I think we should just go ahead and nip it in the bud now, if that makes sense.
But then we would have had to have had people listed tonight to make that decision otherwise, right? Because if not, then we have to come back for our regularly scheduled meeting. I don't think that there's anybody listed. You said that there was nobody currently listed up for that position.
The way this works, if you all would allow me to, and an attorney, I would like for you to iterate the, what it says as far as how this process works. But, as soon as Mrs. Rose exits, her position, okay, for 30 days, the chair is the executive director. Okay, during that time period, if we get someone is appointed as interim up to 90 days. I'm hoping before 90 days, we'll be able to fill that vacancy, and that will be on the selection of this board here to get an official executive director. So we will all play a part in that. But just to get someone immediately or as soon as possible, that falls on the shoulders of the chair of the board. And the chair does have that, exercise that authority. Attorney Jackson, may I ask for your opinion on this and your views on this according to the procedures?
Yes, ma'am. So, in the past, the way that interim positions have been handled, has been handled through the mayor of the town of Eatonville, with emergency hires and things such as that. There has been there's been conversation amongst this board that this board should be separate from the town. And so in that regard, the executive director, in a sense, stands as a person that, would be able to make interim decisions on behalf of the board as the mayor would have in that capacity. Now, in looking at the bylaws, I just want to get the copy of the bylaws, and looking at the bylaws as the chair who steps into the position of the executive director during the interim period, that there is no executive director here. The chair does have as in that capacity, does have the ability to hire certain positions, according to your bylaws, if you go by the bylaws. And so in operating the way that has been done in the past, where the chair has been the mayor, if we operate from that viewpoint, then the chair in this particular case would be able to serve in the capacity of making an interim decision as to a temporary executive director, but not a permanent executive director, based on my reading here and based on how things have been done in the past. But of course, this board has the ability to determine how it wants to go from that.
I got a question. How does dual office oathing come into play, since the chair is an elected official and, serving,
That's a great question, and that was resolved. I think I did a memo on that, and I can bring that back up, probably in 2016, 2017, when the question came up about an elected official serving on a board. And even the Sunshine Manual indicates that is not dual office holding. And to make the board comfortable, I can provide that memo once again, as it speaks to dual office holding for an elected official on a board such as the CRA board.
I've never experienced it.
No, on the board is not the problem standing for the board, the problem is trying to do administrative things.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's the problem. I mean, you can be on, look, officially be on several boards, but trying to do day-to-day in another agency or in the city, you can't do both if that, like, unless you're the mayor. That's what it is. You can be on how many boards you want to, you know, so.
Yeah, because I've never experienced this. Like, you know, as long as I've been sitting up here, I've never experienced an executive director vacating the seat and unless it's the mayor, because it's always been the mayor that sits in this particular seat. I think that's why we're kind of like in the bind that we're in now with her, this chairwoman, having, well, the language expressing that, but in reality, she really can't do it. You understand me?
But
Unless it's the mayor, but she's not the mayor.
So.
You get what I'm saying?
Like I said, but what that does is, because in the past, from conversation on this board has said that they want to be separate from the town.
Right.
And if you're saying that the mayor makes an appointment to the CRA board, then now you're saying that the mayor makes a determination as to what happens on the board. I understand what you're saying in terms of it hasn't happened because typically the mayor is the chair of the CRA board. The only other time that I believe that has not been the case, I believe Board Member Washington was the chair for a period of time and was not the mayor. I don't think he made any appointments, if I recall correctly, but there have been times when that happens. But in conversations from this board and in operating as the CRA as an independent body or independent agency, this board should make a decision, and that's why it has to come to the board as a resolution, and why the chair is asking through a resolution if this is permitted, because typically the mayor would be sitting in that position and making that determination. But since the mayor should not be making those decisions on behalf of this agency, the chair is asking in this instance.
But wouldn't it be problematic because of the administrative part of it?
From the administrative part, if I'm understanding correctly, if she's operated as the CRA director. Because that would be
But that's what we're okay, being that we don't have one in place, her last day is Friday, right? So we got to determine according to the bylaws, the chair, which is normally the mayor, which run day-to-day operations anyway, right? But she's not the mayor. You understand what I'm saying? She's only the chairman. She's only the chairperson for this particular agency, which is the CRA, which is separate. Well, according to the interlocal agreement, it's not separate until we decide to make it separate. So it's still kind of in a local agreement still, until we do the separation. So how, and these are the questions that I'm asking. So how will we proceed and moving forward with, not undermining you, to make her over the administrative part of it, because that's what the executive director was doing. So how is she gonna appropriate and moving in any kind of fashion and handling day-to-day operations with CRA and serving as an elected official on the town side? Like, is that something that we can do?
That's what your bylaws say.
So that's what the bylaws say.
Yes, but the other thing too, and what I'll say is this, because Madam Chair did contact me to draft this resolution. I want to make sure that everyone understands that. She told me what it was. So I drafted this resolution. My understanding, and Madam Chair, please let me know if I didn't understand correctly. My understanding is that the reason for her wanting to appoint a CRA director is for the very concerns that you're talking about, Board Member Mack. It's because it is day-to-day operations and things that my understanding is that she feels that someone should be able to come in and handle on a temporary basis. On anything on a permanent basis, this board needs to vote on and make a determination. And so she's asking as a chair if that's something that she should be able to do. And I apologize because I know that I've spoken over Board Member Gardner and answered you also.
Oh, no, you're good.
Yes.
So if the bylaws allow for the 30 days for the chair, and if we go ahead and advertise for the position within 30 days, we're not gonna meet again until 30 days. Well, we'll meet in July, and if by then August, when you think about what's going on in the the CRA right now, the main two things are probably those two grants. The CBG grant has not come through yet, and the club grant is being extended by the CRA coordinator. Those are the main two things. After that, if persons call regarding programming, we have an administrative assistant. I personally think the bylaws work. We need to allow the bylaws. And the bylaws state for 30 days that the chair does the duties of the executive director. And if at the end of 30 days, if we do not have anyone interested in the position, then I think that we should revisit this. Number one. Number two, my other concern is we need to think about what's happened to the last 3 directors. We're not treating people right. And to get someone in here for 90 days and treat them the way that we've treated the last 3, I think we need this 30 days to kind of reset our thinking about going into personnel records and bringing that kind of stuff. We should reset that. And this will give us that time to reconsider. So I think that we should at least let the chair carry the weight for the 30 days, just as the bylaws establishes. And then at the end of 30 days, if we still don't have, if we have persons that are interested, then let's consider. If it's not anyone that we want to consider, then let's consider an interim appointment. Because if you can get an interim appointment, you can get an application. If they're interested to do it for 90 days, then they might be interested in doing it and doing the job. So chances are we'll get applications within 30 days.
Now, like I say, that even with the 30 day, we may end up with an interim within that time frame. So you have someone that can be able to function administratively for the CRA until we get someone. So I was thinking that it may be better, as you had mentioned also, to just go ahead and start advertising for the position, as soon as possible, so we can get some real good candidates. And yes, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I just got a question. My only is, we talking about the grants and whatnot that's in place and have to be fulfilled with different obligations. Since we working on an interim basis, why don't we try to find a consultant / grant administrator?
Well, yeah, so that's what we want to do, but we have to get past this point here to allow me to be able to function in this capacity. I'm not gonna be in here forever. This is just temporarily until we get someone. Director Creighton.
And I don't know the illicit details of the day-to-day operations. What I do know is that because we're a smaller district, and this is not to diminish the work that Ms. Rose does or her administrative assistant, I'm not saying that it's not a lot, but I'm saying it's not a lot. To my understanding, to where an elected official can operate in that administrative capacity. I know we've had the mayor that had to do that at some point and was able to balance those multiple roles. So me personally, I'm under the belief and under the confidence that you're equipped to do it until such time that someone else has been designated to fulfill those roles. So just a vote of confidence for me that I feel, whether it's the 30 days or whether we decide to give you the authority tonight to select the interim director, I have confidence that it's something that can be accomplished. Again, it's not a super big district. There is an administrative assistant. I'm not sure what the day-to-day roles and operations actually look like, but considering that someone had to do it in the past, I think that it's something that can be done, something that should be really simple. And then I'm hoping that between now and our July meeting that there is some traction with either advertisement or applications.
So it's not simple.
It's not, you want to do it.
If I may, Chair,
I'm sorry,
I have,
I'm sorry, Director Daniels had this.
I'm sorry, Jay.
Knowledge,
Go ahead.
Director Daniels.
In the bylaws, where's that 30-day note? Cause I'm looking at mine, I don't see it.
I was gonna say I didn't necessarily see a 30-day,
Where did it? I think it's.
Where?
So what to the bylaws?
I didn't.
I'm not-
I'm sorry, I was questioning myself, maybe I'm getting it from the old bylaws, I apologize, I don't have my bylaws, so what do the bylaws say?
There's no.
There's no time. And I'm just looking at, the duties of the chair. And, you know, I agree with, Director Creighton, but I disagree because I know there's a lot on the table. And the more that we keep, not moving forward, we just moving that much further backwards. And to give the chair the opportunity to just get that consultant or whatever in just for the days, with the understanding that this is just 90 days and you're done because we're trying to find somebody. And maybe if you put in the motion that once we find somebody, if it's 31, then that person knows, hey, I'm out the way because I was just here just to help y'all get started, get this thing, keep it going. And if y'all find somebody 31 or 32 days, I'm out, and let that executive director take over and run this thing like they should. I'm just here like the consultants are. They don't want a job, they don't want a 9 to 5, they just want to help do whatever projects they do, and then they move on. So I'm in favor of just giving the chair just whatever appointment is, just to get an interim in here. And if we get a full-time person within the 32, then let the interim know that their time is up and we're moving forward with somebody permanent.
Let me echo on something. Who next, please? Who you got?
Director Marshall.
Go ahead.
Who had their hand up?
No, Washington.
I want to give everyone a fair chance to speak.
I did it before. Oh, when I was the chair, and when the mayor locked out the executive director, and I went down and talked to the police officer, the mayor can do that. And they said the mayor is over all agencies, and me being chairman was nothing, to be honest with you. So I don't know if this power come from here to give you the power to hire somebody, and I can have the power to let somebody in the building. Till we got an attorney in law saying the mayor can do that. So my thing is, what change people's opinion now when somebody else is chairman to give a chairman all the power to do anything? Because back then, when the mayor did that, nobody said, "Oh, you're not chairman. You can't do that, mayor. You can stick up in." But now you're saying give her the power to do hiring and stuff like that. So my thing is, I'm bouncing from people to chair, how people react and do things for other people, and that's what I understand.
No, those are arguments that I have in place because I can recall sitting up here as a board member and going through something. Well, I ain't gonna say something to this because I don't think I've ever experienced anyone quitting. They got probably fired, and we put out ads to hire someone almost immediately. That's what happened. But I think to what Ms. Board Member Creighton was saying, it's a lot at stake because you got to think we got grants out here that we need to vet and we need to handle accordingly. You know what I'm saying? That haven't even really been processed the way that it need to be processed for us to even be able to claim the grants. We got the grants, but they have not been properly vetted, if that makes sense. So we got to have people on the administrative side to be able to deal with that situation. That's why I say it's a lot that we're dealing with here. And being that we don't have an executive director and we got a chairman, and I'm not taking anything away from the chair, but I know this young lady had an opportunity to kind of like, see the grants that was already previously brought to the table anyway, but it wasn't properly vetted the way that they need to be vetted. And I think that's the direction that we're going in and trying to make sure that we're cohesively putting this grant together while we can establish it the way that we need to establish it. But if we don't have anyone in place, especially on the administrative side, because I only think she got one employee and she's not qualified to help in the sense of, helping with the grant processing either. So I think it's a very complicated situation, but what we're dealing with could easily be resolved if we do put someone that we feel could fill that void to properly, put us in the angle of doing something that won't really have any too much hiccups in it. You know what I'm saying? Because we're gonna have a lot of hiccups if we go the route that we're trying to go tonight. I hate to say I told you so, but that's just my forte on it. Now, like I said, I'm only one vote Were you gonna say
No,
something?
go, I mean, we keep talking about grants. Hey, Mike, you getting a dead horse. Me personally, I think we all know who got the grants. I think if there's an interest with that individual far as to come in from a consultant, grant administrator role to make sure the grant continue to move on, I would go for that, me personally, that's just from that standpoint. So, I mean, you'll work with that individual hand in hand, but just so we can just keep moving those grants forward. Cause that's a lot of hard work that's
That's a
involved.
good idea.
That's a lot of hard work involved to get to get something. Then we don't have our stuff together and we lose.
Yeah, that's a
You know
great
what I'm saying?
idea.
So that's what I would.
That's a great idea.
That's just my suggestion.
Okay, I'm sorry, Director Crinton.
And I'm hearing a bunch of different stuff, so maybe, somebody could clarify it for me. So outside of the grant, there's still the administrative day-to-day operations that need to be handled, right? So let's say there's no grants on the table. If we don't provide this authority tonight to authorize the chair to hire an interim executive director, who is handling the day-to-day?
If someone calls in this building for one of the programs, you have an administrative assistant.
Okay.
That administrative assistant can distribute the call. The main things that they're doing right now, they're doing the thing on Wednesday, the fresh food thing on Wednesday, and you have the other paint, pave, and the administrative assistant should be versed enough to communicate the guidelines and to take an application. In regards to the grants, the main grant is the club, and they're getting ready to take their first draw. There are two employees. The other one is the fiscal coordinator. And the fiscal coordinator, right now, it's a money thing. As long as the paperwork is done, the draws are received and that money is accounted for, then the coordinator is making sure of that. Right now, it's just a matter of getting the funds for the initial draw and keeping in touch with the department, the agency that's giving the funds.
But that's our point though,
But that's
board
only two,
members
but let me finish.
getting-
That's that one.
1 second.
Those funds are already in the works for coming, the first draw. By the time you get a second draw, then your 30 days is up. So whether it's in the bylaws or not, I say at least give it 30 days, see what applications come. If there are no applications coming, then we consider moving forward. I still believe that would be a course that we should consider. The other CDBG grant has not even been approved fully yet. That still has to go before the county. And that's nothing on our end at all. That's just keeping your eye out when it comes for vote. Did we get it? Did we not get it? And then even once that's approved, you still have some time before the paperwork starts. So, I mean, those are the main two.
In follow up to your response to my question, I want to say that I do like the idea, if necessary, of bringing in a consultant to work alongside the chair. But I guess my next question is, okay, let's say we decide to give Chair Randolph the 30 days tonight. Are we waiting until the August scheduled meeting, or are we reconvening in exactly 30 days and have a need for another special meeting? How is that timeline? How does that work out? Worst case scenario.
Well,
unnecessary.
can I speak please on that? Yeah, in my opinion here. Okay, the 30 days is just enough time to give the chair that opportunity to have someone in that position. The position, what I'm asking for, and only asking 30 days for an interim. At that point, the interim may only be there for 60 days. By the time we leave here or whatever, we'll start advertising for that position. We always have a play in selecting a qualified CRA person that we need for our agency. So right now, I don't really see anything collapsing. We have an administrative assistant here. We have a fiscal coordinator, as it was just explained. So I don't really see anything falling apart. And inclusive of all of this, I had asked Mrs. Rose, and I know we're not here to address a lot of these other issues, but because we're talking about these issues, we're only here for one thing tonight, and that is for an interim. But however, I just want to just state this. I did ask her if she would provide a list of everything we need to know as a board. And you all should have received this today. If you didn't get one in your email today, I do have an extra copy for those of you who knows all the grants, all the things that we have done, and all the accomplishments so far. So this is already been spelled out. So it's not like we just left hanging and don't know what to do. So, I had a wonderful conversation with her late this afternoon, so I'm confident that we'll be able as a team to try to move this CRA board in the direction that it deserves. This is not going to be up for longest as it was in 2022, when it was almost 8 months before we even got anyone in this position. And then we extended that person time even up to like 8 to 9 months. So we didn't really accomplish a whole lot. And I don't want to go back to those days that we could not accomplish anything. We had all these roadblocks. So we want to be able to, to move forward. So Councilman Daniels had his hands up, then we'll.
Just a couple of questions. Attorney, anyone that initiates a grant doesn't necessarily have to be the one to conclude a grant, right? Or, it's a question to the board also.
Yes, sir. I mean, theoretically, that is correct.
Right. So, I disagree with Board Member Williams stating that we know who started the grant, and I'll be in favor of bringing them back, because if he started the grant, anybody with that type of background in business or grant writing should be able to come in and fulfill whatever has been started. Whatever the grant states that needs to be done, that person can get that done. That's number one in that issue there. Number two, Board Member Washington was stating that certain things happened and now he doesn't know why, it's not followed as though it was before. But one of those things that wasn't followed was him getting that chairmancy when he wasn't the mayor. It was always customary for the mayor to be that, but all of a sudden you were made the chairman of the board, Board Member Washington, and it wasn't a problem then. So sometimes do as I say, not as I do, or that doesn't fit like that. So I just wanted to put that out there because you're saying that it doesn't work, or that we follow certain procedures and now it's a problem. Well, that same thing happened in your situation.
It's contradicting. I mean, who's the chairman now? Is the mayor the chairman now?
Who was the first chairman that wasn't the
But
mayor?
you're saying the mayor should be the chairman. That's what I heard you on the last time you voted for. You changed your mind on. So you know what you want to do because you very contradicting saying the mayor should always be the chairman. I stood on that with you. Then you switched up and said, "Oh, you don't want Mayor Gardner. You want Councilwoman Randolph to be the chair." What changed your mind from that to now?
You being made the chair. That's what changed my mind.
Oh, don't change your mind.
That's what changed my mind. You
But
did.
that's,
Thank you, sir.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I have a
You
question.
did.
Okay, that's good.
This question was asked. I'm hoping that it's not asked.
We got a 6:30
Yeah,
meeting.
no, but it really don't matter. We can go all the way to 8:30 because I got questions. Now, okay, I see that. Will you be solely the one to pick the interim for this particular?
Yeah, for up to 90 days. The term will be.
So you'll be solely the one that say, okay, I'm gonna select this person, regardless of us having anything to do with it, you're gonna pick someone. I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of that.
Yes.
Now, I don't have a problem with you actually doing it for the 30 days and solely you, but for you to go and handpick someone and us dealing with it, I think that's problematic too. I think we should, as a board, select the person. Now, you have an opportunity to select who you want or who you
You can
project.
bring them back to,
Yeah.
bring them back.
But
to-
we shouldn't be the one solely and make that decision and say, yeah or nay. We shouldn't have you saying, I'm gonna pick such and such, and that's it. No, I don't think that's how government works, you know what I'm saying? Especially from this agency right here, the CRA, because it's just a unique situation, especially with the interlocal agreement being so involved in it. That's why I'm solely hoping that we can, divide it the way it used to be. That way we won't be having the problem that we continue to have anyway. But I'm definitely not in favor of you selecting someone to sit in the seat for 90 days without us confirming it. I'm not in favor of that. Now, with you being the 30 days, just you solely, I have to deal with that because according to the law, but like, board member Dan said, you don't see anything that reference 30 days. So we're still in the bind. So where's this language at? Stating 30 days.
That
we
was
don't
my
have-
fault. I apologize.
If we don't have anyone in that seat. So I think as a board, right, being that we are a board, we can come up with a conclusion on who we need to sit in that seat. Now, you can make a suggestion. Now, we can either vote it up or down. But we can't sit here and let you go in for, let you go in and us be blind about it and you selecting someone. You understand me? We're gonna have to deal with that. We're gonna have to eat that. And I don't feel like eating nothing I don't wanna eat. So I think moving forward, we need to be able to make that decision as a board. Now, you can bring about 3, 4 names or whatever. Let us make that decision with you. This is not no like veto type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you just can't go in it within yourself. And it's already bad enough that according to, it's not even in the bylaws with the 30 days.
She said she made it up. The mayor said, I'm sorry,
No,
board
I
member,
didn't say make
not made it up, but it's not in our bylaws.
Right.
She was confused, that's what she said.
But I
She was
said
confused.
we could make it 30.
So how would we move forward with that then, attorney? If it's not even in the bylaws?
Well, the only thing that could be considered tonight is the resolution before you. The other issue would come before the board to make a determination as to how to move.
Now, my opinion, this is just me. I could say one name, especially the particular name that board member Williams said that I know was initiating those grants. Well, actually not initiating, he the one that got the grants for us. You understand me? So I would definitely be in favor of bringing him aboard if this board is in tune to do that. I think that'd be the smart thing to do because he has a relationship with that grant. He has a relationship with the people that he distributed this grant to bring it to the CRA. So I think it would be an educated decision for this board to make versus going against somebody that doesn't know nothing about this grant or anything concerning Edenville CRA. Why not bring the person that actually started as the director as CRA and he did one that incorporated the grants? I think that's a smart thing to do. Now, I'm only one vote, but I think if we're gonna sit up here and make decisions for the town and the CRA, we need to make educated decisions that make sense. And I think that make logical sense to bring someone that has this thing really in his hand. And it was snatched away from him essentially, but I think that's the decision we needed to make. Now, I'm only one vote. I can't vote for anybody else. I can't make anybody else's conviction. I can only make my own and my own suggestions. And it's just a suggestion from me. Being that we don't have any bylaws saying that such got to take over if we don't have an executive director. And I think that seat need to be filled ASAP. Not down the road, not 30 days from now, ASAP. So I think we need to get somebody sitting in that seat now, especially dealing with the grants. And I know board member Gardner said something about only one grant. Yeah, I don't heard a lot of different things before, all the time. And then it's always a oops. And not saying that it will be a oops, but we want to make sure that we're not putting the cart before the horse. We want to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's on every event, especially dealing with CRA business. That's just my opinion about it.
Yes, can we call for the vote?
I'm questioning, I'm with him. I mean, you finished the questions? I mean,
No, I'm not finished.
Daniels, he concluded this question session,
Yeah, I'm asking to call for the vote.
but you not finished with everybody
It
else.
was, hey, listen, it was just, she can put it out for a vote.
Excuse me, were you?
I'm not in favor of it. I'm not in favor of it.
But since we're in a pause moment for the
Okay.
vote, can I just say this? So that we're not confused. When I came in 2022, everyone was fired. Everyone was fired. So as a mayor, when it got to the point that nothing, absolutely nothing was happening, and there was no money in the CRA because it was still the county. So during that period of time, I was still fighting to get them to release the money back to the CRA, if you remember. So you had no one working because they were all fired. I was the mayor. I was doing the agenda. And I was still trying to get work in the county to release the funds. When it got to the point that we were able to get some grants, then I knew we needed to stay on top of that. And also, if we wanted to get anything moving, I did emergency hire on the town side. I didn't overstep my boundaries into the CRA. But in order to salvage the CRA and do as much as I could in the interim, that's when I hired the coordinator. And if I don't, and I didn't call it director, the person was a coordinator. If I remember correctly, I thought an application came before the board, but I could be wrong, and it was declined.
Correct.
So I did try, and in the meantime, there were no real applications that came. So that's why the extended period of time was there. But I want to make sure that that's correct and down to the minutes. You know, so I was doing it all. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Director. Okay, I've heard the discussions and inputs from everyone. I would like to call for the vote on this issue. I'd like to call for the vote to request that the CRA Board of Directors approve the resolution 2024-27, authorizing the chair to appoint an interim executive director as an interim for a period up to 90 days or until such time a permanent executive director is appointed by the board. All those in favor?
Yes, I did. It's already been moved and properly
It
second.
is moved and properly second.
Aye.
All those in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Town clerk, can you call the?
No, you gotta say all in favor.
All in favor?
No, whoever
Who
opposed.
opposed? Who
Nay.
opposed?
Nay.
Okay, can you call roll please on those folks?
I know the.
You know,
But do you want to do a roll call?
no, if you have it, then that's fine. So how many voted yes?
3 yea and 4 nay.
Motion failed. Okay.
Now, I know if I can say this before closing, I know we only supposed to discuss what's on the agenda, but then that we had a, vote that failed, and being in the significance of this position that we so very need. And it doesn't indicate that anyone that's sitting in the chair as a board member or a chair could do the day-to-day operation because it's not in the bylaws, right? So who are we gonna get to sit in this particular seat? Now, I suggested the person that did the actual loans.
Right.
The grants, I'm sorry, the grants. Now, I don't know if you're in favor of putting a motion on the floor to put this particular person in this spot until we can move forward with getting someone permanent. I think that would be in our best attorney right now, if you ask me personally, because we need someone to fill that void of Ms. Shan, which is not here. And the only reason I say that too is because of the experience level that this gentleman has also.
Okay, this is what has happened. This is the only item on the agenda.
I know that's what I referenced
And
before.
my procedures, this is what we have already abided by, the decision that was already made. So I'm not at displeasure to go back and add some other things to it that would have to come up in another meeting. The next scheduled meeting is maybe another special meeting or maybe our regular meeting. So this time, we're gonna move forward with any staff reports and any board reports, which I don't have any at this time. Mrs. King, do you have anything?
I just want to note for clarity, are we still gonna have the meeting on the third Thursday this month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The attorney,
No, of course.
anyone else? Report? Okay, thank you very much. Need a motion to adjourn. It's moved and second, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
6:29.
Thank you.
workshop. Mrs. King, are there any citizen participants?
No, not for the workshop.
The first item for discussion is the Code Enforcement Board Policy and Procedures. Plan, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Council, residents. What I'm basically going to present is just basically an overview of how code enforcement is doing up to this point. The first, the exhibit that I passed off on the first page, we have the code enforcement campaigns. And as you can see, we have dilapidated, unsanitary, unsafe, and uninhabitable structures, vacant lots, abandoned, inappropriate, inoperative, and discarded motor vehicles, parking restrictions, commercial containers, non-conforming fences, sidewalks, driveways, and roads, roll-off containers, parkways, parkways and right-of-ways, and signage. So essentially what we're doing is, for each step, we're going through the community and we're targeting or focusing on whatever is in that particular campaign. We felt like it would be wise to operate in a way where we were taking care of one thing at a time and that we were moving in a way so that no one felt like, well, we would remove the idea that anyone particularly was being targeted for any particular reason. So when I'm on the fence campaign, we're looking at all of the fences in the area, and then everyone we started getting notices, and then we'll move forward. So we're doing it step by step. That was the idea of the campaigns. Now, based upon we did change the campaign order. So as we move through page 2 of the exhibit, it might explain why the numbers are the way they are. We started off doing container enclosures. And as you can see, I sent out 66 notices of violation for container enclosures. And we're having some challenges with that because we're trying to, it's an expensive process. So in order for us to show compassion for our business owners, we're in the process now of addressing the code in a way where we might be able to try to present something to council so we might provide some relief. Out of the 66 containers, we actually had 2 who have actually come into compliance, and so that means we have 64 at this stage who are possibly coming up to meet for a code enforcement board hearing. After that, we have the roll-up containers. With the roll-up containers, essentially what's happened is someone decides to do some roof work. They'll have a temporary dumpster placed on their property. And according to our code, they must use waste connection. Because some folks are using people who are outside of their purview. So that is what we're speaking to there. Everyone has pretty much come to compliance. Out of the 11 we've sent notices out. We have 1 outstanding, and that one is will be receiving the notice to appear before the board for a hearing. Then we have 47 lien searches, and the lien search is something that comes to the town clerk's office, and it generally will take a priority over anything that we kind of have going as part of the regular process. Because when we get the lien search, we have between 5 and 7 days to respond to it, and we need to move forward so we can give both, the property owner, buyer, and the seller opportunity to be as fair as we possibly can with them in the process. So typically speaking, when we get a lien search, it gets moved to the front of the line. Also, when we get complaints, code enforcement complaints, those also get moved to the front of the line. And when something gets moved to the front of the line, that means that something else gets moved back. That's typically the way that works. Property maintenance, we sent out 29 notices of violation for property maintenance. And property maintenance could be anything for anywhere from debris in your yard, storing refrigerators or stuff like that. It could also be something as simple as not moving your trash can within a timely manner. Overgrowth, excessive growth of grass, that kind of thing.
So we sent out 29 notices of violations on that, and we are looking at 9 who are not in compliance yet, and will be getting scheduled for a hearing. Abandoned and inoperable vehicles. We have sent out 27 notices of violation. We have 9 that are being scheduled for a code board hearing. And probably by the beginning of next week, I expect to send out another 15. This is out of most of what I've seen, this is the biggest issue where we have the, I guess you could say, the highest number of violations in this area. Non-conforming fences, we sent out 14 notices, and we have 12 that are still not in compliance, which we called for a hearing. And we have stop work orders and no permits. Essentially, we catch someone working and they don't have the proper permit. So we'll do a stop work order on them, get them to come in and apply for the permit, and then they can move forward. As of today, they're all in compliance. Abandoned, dilapidated structures. We have 12. And we have 1 that is being scheduled for a code board hearings, pardon me. This is a little bit of a challenge because the code doesn't give us a clear direction forward, particularly with those structures that are in a residential area. But right now, between code enforcement, the administration, planning, and the attorneys, we're navigating through that. So hopefully we'll have an update in that regard soon. And then the last item we have is commercial vehicles parked on residential property. We've had 2 notices that were issued for them. One of the vehicles have been removed, and the owner came in and applied for a permit because that commercial vehicle is being used for demolition of the property. Essentially, that's basically what we have, and that's where we are right now. Any questions? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What about commercial vehicles parked in a neighborhood on the streets? How we deal with that?
That is a police matter.
Chief, can you
Are they
speak?
parked there? I mean, just for overnight or?
Yeah, they're not allowed to be parked overnight.
I'm just.
No commercial vehicles, trailers, enclosed or et cetera are to be parked in a residential area at all. As a matter of fact, that vehicle is only supposed to be there to be used. So if you're there to unload and unload, that is as long as it's allowed to be present according to the code.
So how long is the car supposed to be there? How long?
The normal time it would take to load or unload. If they're there, not for loading or unloading, and they're there.
That's what they unload. He might have boo there. He might stay at the boo house. I mean, what do you know?
But we'll pay a book fee.
He might be at his boo house or something.
It'll be a book fee.
See.
And if you know, a lot of seasoned truckers, what they'll do, they'll park in one place and have family, somebody pick them up, whatever, and they drive back, they get a ride back to the neighborhood. I mean, the goal is to make sure that, what we do have to remember, those heavy machines, those trucks, they wear a lot on the road, they tear the road up, they mess your asphalt up. And over time, you get cracks and all those things, you end up having to pay out of pocket down the road. So, if someone calls, when it's happening right then of course we can deal with it. Getting emails 2 or 3 days after the truck was there and it's gone doesn't really help the police be involved. So see something, say something for us, and then we'll deal with it accordingly. Yes, sir.
This is code enforcement. Are we able to see the complaints?
Let's say that again.
Are we able to see complaints?
Is council able to see the complaints?
Well, the record, we have to make a request to see.
Yes. Yes, this council is available, they're available for.
You have to come, you can come in or.
Should be emailed.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
2 questions. On the roll-off containers, that we have, not roll-offs, I guess. Gotcha. And those roll-offs you're talking about, the ones that's in front of the building, that's not in compliance.
I apologize, when I say roll up, we're talking about the 20-footers.
Okay, what about garbage can, the dumpsters? This part is.
The dumpsters for the commercial containers, the 8 yards?
Yeah. This part is.
Yes, that's part of the 66.
That's part of 66, so why we couldn't take care of the ones on Front Street? Is that the issue that we have?
The ones, some things seem like they're not in compliance because it is unsightly, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a violation. So in the process of investigating that, we found that the way to fix that was to address the enclosure issue. So by addressing the enclosure issue, that takes care of that.
But they can't, most of them can't have enclosure. They don't have property to put the enclosure. So my thing is, ones that can't meet that criteria, won't we just give them regular residential?
I can't make that decision now.
Who make that decision?
The council.
Okay, because we're gonna make that.
As I mentioned earlier, we're in the process of putting together ordinance with the attorneys to present to the council.
I know one, commercial, down there, on the other side, West Kennedy, want to remove. He want 4 containers. So I don't think it's that hard. I just had a general conversation with him. I think it's just that I don't think the council should be do. I think you as a code enforcement officer say, go to a property owner, who own the property, say, not in compliance. If you don't have room for enclosure, because your property's not big enough for a truck to get over there to pick it up anyway. And like you said not too long ago, it breaks up our roads. We had one incident down there at the daycare that was the water line that had a dumpster. What they have now? They have a regular dumpster, they're regular rollaways now. So the truck can't go up there and.
We haven't been, I apologize, Councilor, we haven't been able to get the clear language that authorizes that. That is also in question. Those containers that you're referring to, the 95 gallons, according to the code, for those to be used, as I understand it, Waste Connection came out and they made the decision. We can't make that decision. According to the code, if you have a commercial business, you're required to have an enclosure, and it doesn't matter what kind of can you use.
But that's also why the adjustment was happening to the ordinance to give a little leverage.
I think is that, just conversation with the property owner and business owners, whoever, say, hey,
Been done.
It has been done. So who was against
I
it?
was saying that it's up to them to move because we can't go on their private property.
We just say we go. I'm not telling you to go on their property. You just make the decision to, hey, you don't meet the criteria to for enclosure.
Okay, the issue with that is the way the process goes, the property owner would have to engage in a relationship with an engineer to develop a site plan to make that determination. As code enforcement, I don't have that authority.
So we can.
Oh, I got another one. That's ludicrous. But my thing is, if he said he don't want it in front of his property, it's just say, hey, give me 4 rollers, give me 4 residential garbage cans, whatever you want to call them. Give him 4 of those and move that out of the way. So if you saying he can't do that?
I'm saying the code.
No, forget the code.
I can't forget the code.
Can we change the code for this?
Wait, we have a question.
I got another one.
Okay, yeah, yes.
On the lien searches, how long it takes for lien searches?
How long does it take for a lien search? A lien search can take, generally speaking, we try to get it done within 24 hours. If for code enforcement, I do it. But in the process of doing a lien search, and I go out and inspect the property, and I find violations, those violations, now we've opened up cases for violations, and those are going to be noted.
Well, how many liens, you don't know how many liens we have out there now?
Currently, right now, 0. I had one today, and we completed it today.
Someone on the existing property that we found years ago, whatever that's on the books.
Okay, I apologize, I'm not understanding your question.
The liens that we have out there on property that been dilapidated for that we found years ago. Do you know anything about those there?
Okay, I think what you're asking me is if I am aware if there are any code enforcement liens on any properties in the town of Eagle. I am not aware.
Councilman Washington has always said, making the Fresh Street looks good by taking those containers away if they can't get them enclosed. But I don't know if anyone had the opportunity to look at the daycare next to Pancho's with those 4 rollaways, if that's what they call them.
95 gallons.
95 gallons overfilled with Pampers and trash.
Yes.
I don't know why we can't come up with a way of letting a business that's able to have exuberant amounts of garbage be able to somehow figure out, like you said, we can change the code and let those people have that garbage can and maybe not have it in concrete, but maybe be lenient to them, maybe wood or something that's not so expensive, because that was one of the main reasons why some of the property owners couldn't do it, because they wanted concrete a certain boom, 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 and that's $2 or $3 grand. But if we use those 95 gallons, I don't even know if anyone seen it, was overfilled, spilled out on the
Yes,
can.
I have full snapshots of those,
Right.
and they are, and again, the code says that the cans need to be closed. They should only be open when they're actually being used, all cans. They should be out of sight, they're pretty much out of sight, out of mind. So I agree with you. But in the way I understand it, according to the code, when someone has too much waste, then Public Works gets to recommend that they get additional cans.
Yeah, and I was gonna say,
Or they get additional pickups.
okay, because that was
That's
a
a Public
lot.
Works function.
And it was Pampers, because it's a daycare.
Yeah.
And just big bags, just over. And I don't know if they took it or not, because they didn't take mine. And my can was like this, it wasn't even closed. They didn't take it because they said it was overfilled. Or they took the bag out, put it on the ground, and then it closed, and they dumped that and then put the bag back in it. So we gotta figure out something, but there's a lot of businesses that need those big cans.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, the big
Enclosed.
right, enclosed.
Yes.
It's impossible, though, because somebody had property to do it. I mean, go ahead.
Yes, hi. I'd like to know, will the rates, change or reflect how many containers you have? So let's just use the example that Councilman Washington had used. I know what business he's referring to on the west end.
Yes, ma'am.
That one business has they want 4 cans
Yes, ma'am.
rather than having that one because they don't have the space.
Yes, ma'am.
So will Waste Connections, will they be charging extra funds, extra costs because they have to pick up containers 4 times with the dump versus one if you had the big?
That's a question.
Container?
I apologize. My guess, and this is only a guess, my guess is yes. But the answer to that question would be done with our finance department. They monitor the cost.
Okay, so they will probably end up paying more if they have to pick up more containers at that one site.
Yes, that's my guess. Yes, they will.
They will?
They will be charged more. They'll be charged for each container.
Each container, each pickup.
Well, that's not, that's not, so, that is,
I agree.
I mean, to make the city look better, I mean, having big dumpsters on the front street. I mean, I definitely. Just tell them that's the cost they have to bear. You know,
I just have one final, almost and last, are your more questions? You stated earlier that there was a, I don't remember now, I think it was about, something about the residential, there was a dilemma that we faced. My question is this, whatever dilemmas that you found when, issuing notices and all of that, are those dilemmas being addressed in the new code enforcement document that's being presented? Is there a way
In terms of the enclosures, yes. And
that in any other dilemmas?
we are, yes, ma'am, we are, we're moving, it's a process. And with a couple of things, we've been working with the attorneys since late February, early March to get the language so that we can have something to present for council.
If there are no other questions?
so he said it's up to the council to make that decision to move, have us. To have business on one of those dumpsters, stuff you said earlier.
Yes, sir, I can make that decision.
So can we add that language in the code?
We're in the process of doing that.
I think that's already,
Okay.
It's in there?
it's included in with the adjustment, but we just gotta get it back before council.
Yes. So it'll all be, that leniency will be placed in the code.
Yes, sir.
I got one question. Okay, with the containers, right, the large ones that's on Front Street. Now, will we be lenient enough to in the code that we make the adjustments with? Have them provide the wood instead of the concrete, like Councilman Daniel was saying, because I think it'd be a lot more feasible for them, right, as a business owner to have that particular wood instead of the concrete, which is kind of expensive. So I think when we do the adjustments and changing the codes, we need to, make sure that we're associating the wood versus the concrete, or whatever they want. If they can afford it, they do it, but if, you know, but it must be mandated. Especially with the large container, you know, being on Front Street, we wanna make sure that we have that enclosure, right? And I know sometimes they get clustered, you know, especially with these restaurants, you get a lot of stuff that if we're in there, but I think, moving forward, we definitely need to make sure that we are having that enclosure though, because it's gonna make community look a lot better also with Kennedy.
We just talked about that, having the big trucks driving on our sidewalks. To get those enclosures on these properties that we talked about, they have to drive over the sidewalk. They have to go over the sidewalk to get to these dumpsters. Most downtown areas of cities do not have big trucks going down their road, picking up parts of the sidewalk, picking up those dumpsters. They have these here. Cities of areas, downtown area, they have these roads, they have these things here. Because they can't have a big truck going in over the sidewalks, cracking the sidewalk, busting water lines. But I think Madcraft just had an issue from probably previous with that dumpster, where their property is at. They had to fix the water line there recently. But that dumpster was sitting right there where the water line broke, and they had to drive over that thing all the time. So it eventually it erupted sometime last month.
Right.
So it's from wear and tear of that truck going on there. Even at daycare next to 10 hours, it's water line right there. And like they move their dumpster farther up, but they should be going across the sidewalk dumping trash on the main street.
But listen, I know we're gonna continue having issues with it, especially with that, I'm sorry, well, especially with the larger containers. And it's unfortunate that we are having damages done to the sidewalk. I know it's a process that we're dealing with, and especially with Waste Connection, I know we've been having issues with them just picking the trash up itself. And especially with people not getting their trash picked up because the can is not completely closed. And you gotta think from a residential perspective, we have a lot that, you know, we put in these little bins and it only comes every Tuesday, right? So just imagine these restaurants, they gotta have the bigger containers to be able to withstand putting all their trash in there. Where else you gonna put it at? You know what I'm saying? And then if you get 5 or 6 roll-offs, you're probably still not gonna be able to capacity to have all your trash maneuvered in there and be able to flush it all the way down. Because according to what their code, their regulations are, if it's not put all the way down, they're not picking it up, which is something that we gotta address also, because we can't have that either in this community. You have a vendor coming through this community and we gotta make the rules. You're gonna go by what we want, especially when we coming up, you know, in September, with being able to close another deal out with whomever it is. We gotta make sure that our residents and business are getting their trash picked up.
So we'll deal with that with the new contract for the trash. But in regards to code enforcement, you can only do us on the books, and you'll make sure you cover any holes that you're seeing in the new code policy, and we'll deal with some of those issues in the new contract.
Yes, we got to. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the honorary plaque for the Eatonville Library, Councilwoman Randolph.
Okay, thank you very much, this particular, item here has to do with, I know we coming up very closely to our anniversary celebration of our town. I find it very important to, as a part of our history, to recognize, persons and those elected officials who were so deserving and worked so hard to make accomplishments. So we were able to get the nice library that we have. But the only thing about it, their names have never been recognized. They were probably recognized in the ceremony that they had during that particular time. So there's no cornerstone for the elected officials, and those were former Mayor Anthony Grant, former late council woman Marilyn Davis Conyers, the late James Randolph, Mrs. Francis Seeley, and Mr. Kelvin Franklin. And also in honorary of those particular individuals, doing my research, I also found that the Denton Johnson Center did not have also recognition for those who were responsible for the Denton Johnson Center for those communities. And that was near Abraham Gordon, and there were some other members also. And I checked even this building, I don't see, and I haven't seen anything on this building of those who were responsible and should have been recognized for making this municipal building to be what it is now, which we're here today. So it's just more or less just trying to make a recommendation to make sure that those individuals as a part of our history of our town be recognized on a plaque on these particular buildings. But this one tonight just only addresses the library, and I will be doing preparation for the others by the next meeting. So that was something that I thought maybe we should consider pretty soon, or maybe sometime in the near future, is making that correction.
All right, thank you. For that third one, the Founders Day discussion, when I meet with the group to make certain that everything is tied down, then we'll bring an update to the board. I know we're pushing August, but we had 2 other events that the staff was also helping with. So after I meet with the staff in regards to the Founders Day, then we'll definitely have an update for you, whether it's through an email or whether it's in the next meeting. With that being said, are there any staff comments for this workshop? All right, so I move for adjournment. It's been moved and seconded. Is it seconded? Seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, 6:59. We are adjourning our council workshop, beginning the town meeting at 7:30.